a second here. Looks like I'm live. First time I've used Streamlabs in a bit. Unless there's not. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if we can figure out how to. Stand by, throwing some links out there. Okay, looks like I'm transmitting. Excellent. Okay, so I was going to walk through how to get the achievements in the Bard's Tale 4. Unfortunately, I cannot figure out how to stream my Steam library, so I'm going to walk through this real quick. And the biggest focus is going to be on getting the Challenge Seeker achievement, which is fairly difficult. Last time I checked, something like less than 0.5% of people on Steam had it. I just got it last night. Yeah. So, looking at the achievement tab in the game, I'll walk through the achievements from start to finish. The really easy ones are the character creation ones. Unchained Melody, keep Melody the starting character as your character. Sword is my favorite S word. Create a fighter as your starting character. Practitioner makes perfect. Create a practitioner as your starting character. Knife to meet you, rogue starting character, and you bard or believe it, which is create a bard as your starting character, not Melody, even though she is a bard, but create a new bard. So these are really easy to do. You can go through the short intro of the game, and as soon as you get to the character creation scene, you'll know it when you see it. And by the way, there will be a lot of spoilers in this stream. So after you complete the character creation screen, the game will start you off in the sewers of Scorcherer. And as soon as you get to that point, the achievement will pop with whatever character you created, and then you can load, because the game will create a save point immediately prior to the character creation. So you can just do it again and again until you get all of these. My personal preference is to start the game with the bard. They're really kind of a jack of all trades in the early game and give your party a lot of versatility, which is good. But you can pretty much do whatever you want. So the next 3 achievements are all level based. If you beat the game, you're going to get these. They grow up so fast. Reach level 10, Ready for War level 18, and Overachiever level 20. I pushed my characters all the way to level 29 by the time I finished, finished the game. Which you're pretty much going to want to do if you're going to go after the Challenge Seekers achievement. Do as many of the side quests as you can. Go back over to some of the areas after you've already cleared them out, because some of the enemies will respawn. Farm as much experience as you possibly can, because you're going to need every character point for putting together your party to try to get that last achievement. So moving on from the level-based achievements, Savior Scarabray, it's story-based, you can't miss it. That's the saving the world, ending the game. Honor thy elders, pray to an altar of gratitude. This is missable, although if you're going to be doing any kind of like real exploration, you'll run across these little, it's like a pillar with a loop on the top. I wish I could show you a picture of one. I might be able to find one once I start playing the game. But you will see these things. They have like these little lines like spiral cut across them, and once you activate it and touch it, then the spiral lines will glow, and the first one you do, you get the achievement. Each one of them gives you about 1,000 or so XP points, so they're worth hunting down. Codebreaker, unlock the secrets of a code wheel statue. Now, if you bought the game on the PC, which I did, I'm not sure how it looks on the PS4 or the Xbox, but there's a PDF file in your game files that has the code wheel, which kind of replicates some of the old-fashioned copy protection type stuff they used to do. You put the wheel together and cut the proper holes in it, and when you see these things, you line up the arrow with the symbol that's on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side there'll be either a left-facing crescent moon or right-facing crescent moon, and you line up that on the symbol it's showing. And then it'll show you two numbers on the wheel, and those numbers correspond to numbers in a book that you find in the Adventurers Guild when you first get started in the game. And those numbers will correspond to items that you have to offer to the wheel. Now, there are websites you can Google that just tell you where all of them go, or if you don't feel like cutting it out and putting it together yourself, you can also Google it. It's not real hard to find. A couple people have put together a web-based version where you can use the code wheel that way. So that's one of the more difficult achievements. It is missable if you don't take the time to do it. I do recommend doing that, because a lot of the Elven puzzle weapons are found in those offerings, and you can get some really good items out of it as well. Ride the high road. Use standing stones the first time. That's pretty much. I suppose technically you could miss it if you walked everywhere, but you're likely going to find the standing stones. The first set you're going to find is right outside the Adventure Guild in Scarabray below. You activate it using your first exploration spell, or song rather, and then the next one you're going to run across will be in the Baedish lowlands. Activate that one, travel back to the first one outside of Scarabray, and you'll get that achievement. Mystery beneath Mangar's tower. Find the Spectre Snare. This is missable. Right after you complete Alguin's tower, you'll be like level 12 or 13. At this point in my party, I had my Bard starting character. I had Dogleash, the Dwarven fighter. I had Ringneck, the rogue, and I had sent the Green Lady off. There's a point where we had to choose to send one of your party members off. I chose the Green Lady, the spellcaster, and got Crux in return during the Alguin's tower. And I did respec Crux after Alguin's tower, because he had some abilities I didn't like very much in the early game. So if you have an optimized party, you can take Mangar's tower, which is like one of the next story areas you reach. Mangar's tower is difficult at that level, but achievable, or you can come back to it later. But before you actually destroy Mangar in the story, make sure you do the side mission. And part of it involves finding the Spectre Snare, the item that originally killed him in the old songs. So when you first, I'm trying to remember how this went. There's a number of puzzles and enemies you got to fight through, but before you actually go face Mangar, and you can't miss it, you know it's coming. You're walking across this like dark floating bridge thing, and like these skeleton towers are rising around you as you're doing it. And it's very dramatic. So before you finish walking on that bridge to face Mangar, turn back the way you came, and there's a staircase off to the left and right that they're hard to see because of how dark the area is. But if you go down there, you'll fight a 15 or 16 waves of skeletons in a row to get the snare, and then having the snare equipped on one of your characters, then go back and beat Mangar, and that achievement will pop. Legend of the Siambra Dhu Lodge. This is how to find the Wand of Destiny. This is another side quest that is missable for the achievement. That one you can get. Where was that at? That is in the Intriac Forest right before you leave to go to the Sulphur Springs. That's one of the first big Charn temples to come across. Some of the puzzles there are pretty advanced. You might want to do Iwon Rheg first, just because of the fact that that area in the Sulphur Springs, which is story-based, you can't miss going there, kind of explains how some of the Charn puzzles work. Although it is recommended before you get really far into the game that you get the Wand of Destiny, because it has an ability to destroy bone piles in combat. Because as you fight with the skeletons, you'll find that if you don't kill everything on the screen at the same time, and some of the skeletons are left, they'll keep respawning. So you either have to do a total party wipe against the enemies, or kill these things with the Wand of Destiny. So I do recommend getting that one done. That moves on to Secrets of the Sentry Tower. Find the Strife Spear. The Strife Spear is another one of the legendary weapons. This is another side quest that's missable. As you leave Scarbray below and cross the Baedish lowlands, you'll come across that tower pretty early on in the game. Although some of the battles toward the end of it are pretty advanced. I don't think I beat that until I was about level 18 or 19. Savior of the Fichti. That's clear all the corruption in the forest of the Intriac. That's missable. Make sure you do that. After you get to a certain point in the story, you get the blessing of the bear god in the forest, and you can go back and clear all the corruption. Savior of the Einarr. Clear the Stronsea Isle of Miasma. This is another missable achievement. When you get to Stronsea, the island, there is a Necromancer's Tower, a floating Charn temple off in the distance. You can walk past it and not do it, although if you don't complete the Necromancer Tower, you miss this achievement, and you also miss a later one that I'll cover. Moving on, that's the end of this Mage's Tale. Discover the gloves of the dead Mage's Apprentice. So, after you complete the boss battle in the Alguin's Tower and rescue Alguin, this is missable. There'll be a charred pile of ash where his apprentice was killed. Pick up the gloves off that pile, and this achievement will pop. And those gloves are equipable as a trinket. I used them extensively throughout the game because they would hit for physical damage against an entire row. So no matter who was in front, who was in back, it would damage both of them, which comes in handy when you're trying to get to an archer or a mage just hiding in the back row. Challenge Seekers. I'll cover that one last because that's the biggest pain in the ass. Rockefeller. Hoard 10,000 gold. I really recommend because the economy in this game is extremely punishing. Your resale value for items is a bare fraction compared to what the buy cost is. It's really easy to price yourself out of getting better equipment if you buy stuff early. Eventually, you can level up your rogue to get an ability called Thief, which gives you a chance to steal from your the vendors. So basically, you can break the game with this ability. You get your 10,000 gold pretty quickly after this point. Just save near a vendor, take what you want from the vendor, and then finish the transaction. You'll know it worked because the rogue will say something like, if they don't catch you, it's free, or I grabbed a little extra stuff like that. If they say something, then it worked. If they didn't say anything, then it was a normal transaction. You spent money, so just reload it and try again. And that's the best way you're gonna get Rockefeller, because otherwise it's really easy to burn through your money. Who said money can't buy friends? Hire a mercenary. Now this one goes into it's closely related to some of the character creation ones that come later, so I'll skip that one for now. But basically, as you go through the game, you'll get mercenary tokens. Just use a token to buy a mercenary. Am I the good guy? Slay a paladin. That's going to happen through the course of the story. You're not going to miss that. Divine judgment. Slay a corrupt paladin. Again, you'll run across it in the story. Get smote. Kill Bishop Henrid. This one's a little different than Challenge Seekers. Challenge Seekers says defeat the final boss with only 3 party members. That achievement won't actually pop until after the credits start rolling. The Bishop Henrid achievement, the second you kill him, that's going to pop. So if you saw that and then are worried you didn't get Challenge Seekers when you go for that one, wait till the credits start. Elven Guile, unlock the magic within a puzzle weapon's pommel. So the Elven puzzle weapons will have 2 or 3 stages depending on the weapon. All of them will have a pommel puzzle where you click some runes or do the like this trigger sequence of pushing gems and parts of the handle, and that'll allow you to socket a gem into it. That'll pop the first one. Elven Trickery, unlock the magic within a puzzle weapon's grip. It'll be like a sliding tile puzzle or something, or connect the pathway puzzle that unlocks the next the next gem insert. And then Elven Wisdom, unlock the magic within puzzle weapon's hilt. That's the last one, and it will either be putting the Elven weapon into a shrine that matches the engraving on it, because some of them have engravings and their shrines hidden around. Another way to do it, there might be a puzzle related to it. Some of them you have to go to a certain spot and play music on it. Another way to do it, some of them will have a rhyme or clue for a certain type of weapon or enemy you need to kill that weapon to activate the last power. So once you unlock all 3 stages of the power in one Elven puzzle weapon, that'll unlock. Hey, it sounds like someone just gave me something. Let me flip over to my Streamlabs. How's it going? Hey, Alice. I don't know how much of this you caught. I'm just unfortunately I didn't figure out how to capture my my Steam window, so I'm just talking through the achievements and how to unlock them, and then I'll actually start playing a little bit when I get to the last achievement, because that's like the hardest one to get. So yeah, Elven puzzle weapons, they unlock there's all kinds of abilities to unlock. Some of them will have a chance of starting enemy on fire. Some of them have a chance to stun enemies. Some have a chance to heal you. Some will just randomly throw some oddball weapon or gadget out into the enemy field to possibly damage them. So there's all kinds of different options. Early to mid game, they're actually really useful. I use them quite a bit, and once I started getting past that point, once you reach the Hearnhold, the new area for the Dwarven Stronghold they added in the Director's Cut version, you start getting the weapons of the All War, which just far outclass the Elven weapons. I'll talk more about those later, though. Next achievement up, Self-Reliance. Craft your first item. That's pretty self-explanatory. Crafting's a big part of the game. At some point, you're going to craft a lockpick or a grappling hook at a minimum. So that achievement, I won't say it's unmissable, but it's just about. Long road ahead, uncover the secret of Sinister Street. That's story related. You can't possibly miss it. That's how you get out of the Scarabray Underground to the Baedish lowlands. 3 times before did Evil's Lords descend on Scarabray. That's story related, unmissable. That's the actual death of and destruction of Mangar, the Wraith that came back from one of the earlier games. Thrice did rise brave heroes, wise drive them all away, defeat Galfroy. That one's also story related. This one is missable. Now comes the fourth to shackle the north and enslave the world of men. That's defeat Mangar. One of those is related to defeating him in his tower, and one's related to the actual story event. I don't remember which. Thus heroes bold, as in songs of old, must take up sword again, defeat Lagath Zanta. That one's also story related. You're not going to miss that. In dungeons vast, did these evils pass their ancient secrets keep? Defeat Tarjan. That's missable. A word though, before you defeat Tarjan, when you're in the Red Vault, before you pick up the I can't remember the name of the sword. The sword you need to defeat the Ravenous Null. That is your last chance to go through and do some of the side quests if you haven't already done them, and get to some areas in Scarabray and Scarabray below. Because once you pick that up, the game world changes, and you actually get a warning before you do it. You know, where it'll say that's a point of no return. So if there's anything you want to do. Oh yeah, it's a good series. There were 3 games before. Actually, 4 games. Although the 4th one wasn't really a sequel. That was kind of like an oddball parody of the original series. But the first 3 came out like in the 80s, really old school dungeon crawlers, and the 4th one is a lot like the original 3. There was one that came out like during the PS2 era, like in the early 2000s. That it was fun, but it wasn't quite the same type of game. Oh yeah, I was talking about Tarjan. Yeah, so once you defeat him, go around to the shops and buy up all the booze and food that you can, especially if you're going to try for the challenge seekers, because you're going to need it. And then, so down we go to face the foes that lurk in Barrows Deep. That's to complete the final dungeon. That's a story-based achievement. Again, you're not going to miss that one. Now, almost all the rest of these are related to character creation. I'm not going to read through all of them because there's a ton of them. But basically, like, I'll go through the fighter class ones. There's one for teaching a fighter the champion class, one for teaching a fighter the commander class, one for teaching a fighter defender, vanguard, veteran. So those are the endcap skills in your skill tree, and why I said earlier that this is kind of related to the achievement for hiring a mercenary. To get these, I went to the Adventurers Guild. You can save it before you talk to Mercy, the character that lets you manage your party and hire mercenaries. If you're around like level 20, just hire a mercenary, pump the skill points into them because they'll be about your level once you hire them. Pump the skill points into them to unlock some of these things. If you don't get all of them, just reload it and get the ones you didn't get. So in a couple minutes, you can burn through all of the different classes, get all the different endcap skills, and the related achievements. It takes like 5-10 minutes. The only exception to that is the Archmage one. You got to be about level 23, 24, just because you have to get Archmage unlocked. You also have to have three of their endcap skills in their primary tree, so that takes a lot of skill points. Savior of the Hearnhold, that you get for putting King Gawain to rest and restoring peace to the Hearnhold. That, I'm not sure if that's story-based or not, because I went there as soon as I could, and the game was about level 24, 25, which was probably earlier than I should have been, but I really wanted to see the new content they added in the Director's Cut version. So that, when you're in the Hearnhold, make sure that you get the Dwarven Strongbox key, because because even after that, as you start progressing through the end game, you'll come across keys to the Dwarven All War weapons, which I will showcase here in just a minute. So that is all the achievements with the exception of the Challenge Seekers, which is the big one that we are going to talk about. Before I jump too much farther into this, I'm going to see if I can resize my game window because it's so small I can barely see it. Unfortunately, this game does not play very well with multiple monitors. It doesn't really seem to want. There we go. Does not always seem to want to behave itself as you change focus. Okay. So, this is a save game I have near the start of the Maiden's Barrow, which is the end game dungeon area. There are two very specific builds that I used to get from, because let me back up real quick. I talked about the battle with Tarjan, the Mad God, being a point of no return. After you beat him, some of the game world will change. Like I was saying, the Scorcherer itself and Scorcherer below, some parts of it will become inaccessible. And once you go to the Adventure Guild, you'll talk to Rabbi and one of the Dwarven lords, and that immediately kicks off the next phase of the game, where Scorcherer is on fire, and it's all endgame from there. From that point on, once you leave the Adventure Guild, you can't go back to it. So if you're going to do Challenge Seekers, you need to pick your party three characters and equip them. So what I went with my Bard,
yes,
the Paladin that you pick up partway through the game, and Crux. I'll go through their gear and skills a little bit. So for Melody, my Bard, I gave her the Justice Cap. The great part about the Justice Cap is anytime you take damage, you get a spell point. It's really easy to keep your spell points up. She functions very much in the support role, so make sure you give her the tankard as her trinket, so that she can chug booze. Real good set of elven armor. And then for these are the Dwarven All War weapons I was talking about. These were added to the game with the director's cut content that was put into the Hearnhold, and in some of the other areas after that. So these are like amped up equivalents of like the regular items you'll find, like the mace and swords, and you can recognize them because of the fact, I'm not sure how well you can see it. They have like a rainbow type color to them, and they will have all of the standard buffs that the normal equivalent of the weapon does, plus something extra. Like for instance, the mace has Unstoppable Force, which is standard all maces, and then also has Tactician. Attacking an enemy has a 33% chance to create caltrops or dragon bile on a random enemy battlefield space. So that last one, Tactician, usually before this was strictly limited to elven puzzle weapons. Another one, I gave her the North Wind, not because I have leaping strike, but because it has the swiftness on it. You can move twice in a turn. That's free, which, if you bought the deluxe edition of the game, that's the same power that the red boots of DLC had. Instead, I just gave her the regular boots of Lunge, which, if you move, your next attack has an opportunity cost of 1 removed from it. So for her masteries, as one of the side quests, you can give a character priestly training. I did that for her, so she has chant. Chant can just run in the background and generates a spell point at the start of every turn, so that's great. Keep her a sanctuary score so I can buff people's health and constitution. Chop is just a standard attack, and she also has resurrect. You can see the configuration I have, that I have her off to the left, and then on the right I have the Paladin, and behind him Crux. 9 times out of 10, the Paladin is going to take the hit from the enemies because they want to get to the spellcaster and kill him. So 9 times out of 10, the first person that dies in a battle is going to be the paladin. So I can cast Resurrect, and he's back up on the fight with 100 Constitution.
What would you have of me?
So when I created a melody, I gave her the Baedish Studies trait, which she gains a bonus skill point at levels 3, 10, and 18. Unfortunately, if you respec or create a character with that trait any higher than those levels, you lose that point if you respec. So I've actually respected her twice at this point. So she's now a standard adventurer with no other real perk, which kind of sucks because I lost out on three skill points. Now, the paladin, his like racial trait, whatever you want to call it, is Outlander, immune to bleed, poison, and on fire. Short of being a dwarf, who's unmovable, that's like one of the best you can get. And funny that I should mention that. The Steadfast Mountain pickaxe that I gave him carries the Dwarven Resilience, which is usually a racial trait only available on character creation. He can't be stunned, can't be rooted, or forcibly moved by enemies. Not being able to be stunned is great. So between Outlander and Dwarven Resilience, both being on the same character, there's been many battles where he's just the last person standing, because he's very difficult to kill. I gave him the skills to be able to equip the Ancestral Plate Armor, which gives you your highest armor class. I gave him the Compass of Mako, or Mako, I'm not sure how that's supposed to be pronounced, just because it gives a bonus to armor class, and for his boots he has fleet-footed, so he can move twice in a turn. I'll review his skills in a minute, because that'll... the sword. It actually scrolls up, so I can't even read the name of the sword, but this sword has Lucky, which doubles the chance to deal bonus damage with all or nothing. I'm not even using it for that or Executioner. The Vow passive is incredibly useful. The last enemy you attack becomes bound to you, taking damage equal to 50% of all damage dealt to you. So that works together really, really well with his skill of... oops.
At your service.
His skill he gets of Guardian. So he will take 50% of all physical damage directed at adjacent allies. So as long as he's standing next to my Bard, or even in front of Crux, he takes half of their damage, which is great for them because her armor class is like 7 compared to his like 24 or 26 or whatever it is, and Crux has no armor, so he takes most of the damage for them, and that damage also will get redistributed back. So even if they're targeting my Bard, if I've hit something with that sword that links it to him, then he will take any damage and redirect part of it back to the enemy, which is just incredibly useful. Crux's gear.
Yes.
I put everything on him to maximize his intelligence. As you can see, his intelligence is up to level 70. I gave him the trinkets, so he can move enemies or even himself around. Mastercrafted sorcerer robes. And he has the Certain Judgment, which boosts his intelligence by 30, and it has two really good skills for crowd control. Again, Vow and Ancient. So each turn he does an attack, he gains 50% damage on his next attack. So that, and then I gave him Sandals that boost his intelligence. He is rocking Arcane Barrage, which the highest damage I've been able to get out of that is 14 per hit. Spectre Touch, 80 true damage. Mangar's Mallet, which is the big player he uses here, over 105 mental damage. And I say over, and then meditate. I say over because in his skills, under Archmage, one of the perks of being an Archmage is he deals +1 damage for every spell point he possesses when attacking with spells. So I I maxed out his spell points at 13. So if he has 13 spell points active when I cast a spell, it'll be an additional 13 damage on top of that. So for Crux's stuff, you can see I put together everything on his first spellcraft tree, with the exception of I did not progress past the Feather Charm for the Grand Magician. So I got him Grand Summoner, Archmage, Grand Conjurer, Grand Sorcerer. Now this skill here, Psychic Backlash, is another reason why it's advantageous to dump as much as possible into Intelligence for Crux, or whatever magic gears you're using, because the higher their Intelligence, the higher the Psychic Backlash damage is. And I've seen enemies take themselves out with just the backlash from that, which is a free attack for you. Also, the higher his intelligence is, the harder it is to break down when he's meditating. The way standard armor mitigates physical damage, your intelligence when you meditate mitigates spell damage. For his defense, I maxed out his sorcerer robes, because the sorcerer robes have higher intelligence. Gave him 1 point in Constitution just because I had to be able to progress the first tier past that point. Meditation, maxed out his intelligence again. Meditate, you have to pick, and then you have choices at this point that are all mutually exclusive. I wanted to get him more spell points, so spell point at the start of combat. He gains an extra spell point in meditating, and then Inner Peace gain twice as many spell points. So these stack. So he'll start out every turn with a free spell point, and he will get 4 from meditating. So he can generate 5 or even 6 spell points. In the last tree, Blade Casting, I just took the Dagger Novice, which you have to start with, and then I did not put anything into crafting. Melody's tree for this point is drastically different than the end game, so respect her again, which I'll show you later. Maxed out Grand Troubadour, which gives you an extra opportunity point. I'm sorry, no, that's the War Chanter. The Rabble Rouser. Grand Troubadour will make an enemy fall in love with you, which takes them off the table for a couple turns of combat, as long as you don't attack them. So that's useful. And then the Grand Minstrel starts every character except the Bard herself with a spell point. Made sure that she had the Juggler, so I can equip 2 one-handed weapons instead of relying on offhand. Max out her strength. And never put anything beyond just basic chop, because she's mainly for doing buffs, not attacks. Maxed out her light armor. Gave her the ability to wear the Jester Cap and put as many points as I could in Constitution. Brewing allows you to make the various types of booze. Brewmaster is really useful because every time you start combat, you do a shot, which gives you 1 stack of booze and 1 stack of or one extra spell point, and then Victory Shot and Quick to Celebrate. Every time the Bard herself specifically takes down an enemy, they will take another shot and get another stack of Drunk. Now, the reasons why you want your Bard to accrue stacks of Drunk is it will usually boost the effectiveness of various spells. For the Cleric tree, I pretty much maxed it out to get her. Fanatical helps a lot because it gives you an extra spell point you can carry, and anytime you attack, you get a +3 heal. And Righteous boosts your damage for a damage out for damage you've taken. So the less hit points you have, the more damage you do. A Monk Training gives you the Chant, Shield of Faith, extra Constitution. Zealous Preacher, I never actually equipped Change of Fate, but that gives you access to Saint, which is your Resurrect. So going back to her spells real quick, I'll show you what I was talking about. Sanctuary Score. Give an allied combatant a shield with 53 Constitution for 1 turn, and then if I have 2 stacks of Drunk going on when I cast it, the allied combatant will also be healed for 26 if the shield is broken. Now that is based on, I believe, her intelligence. So when I originally set up my party, leaving the Adventurers Guild, I assumed I'd be able to take on the final enemy with the Mastercraft loot of compulsory cavorting, because this is how I took out a number of the Guardians in the Dwarven Stronghold. Because if you have 6 stacks of drunk when you have this loot equipped, then compulsory cavorting, which basically it forces your enemy to dance, it won't end with target's damage. Which is great, because you can time down for 2 turns, beat the crap out of them, and then if you have 2 bards, you can switch off, because there's 1 turn of cooldown, or just hope you survive that next turn and go back to casting it again. If you're heading into a tough battle, the tactic I've been using is I'll use the Devil's Brew, which gives you 8 stacks of drunk immediately, and only 4 spell points. With the Jester's Cap activated and things like Chant, you don't have to rely too much on drinking to generate your spell points, but you want those stacks of drunk right off the bat. So that was my plan. Oh yeah, I didn't go through his skills yet. So that was my plan this entire time, was to get to the final boss and use the loot of compulsory cavorting and then kick her ass. Did not work that way because she's immune to it entirely. So for my paladin, Sundering Smash is pretty much a must-have because it helps you chip through their armor. Great swords, Last Breath. I don't have it active right now, but with the sword that I have that boosts the damage this does by 40%, I can take out an enemy of almost 200 Constitution. That's great if I was running 2 fighters. Right now I'm only running 1. Vanguard allows you to use two-handed weapons in your main hand, and then dual wielding allows you to equip a one-handed weapon in your offhand. So between those two, I have a two-handed weapon in one hand and then a one-handed weapon in the other, which is how I stack the perks. Storm of Blades I have unlocked basically to get down to Veteran. Veteran is really important for endgame play because for every spell point that he has, I could deal 3 points of true damage. So I mentioned true damage earlier. Armor can mitigate physical damage. Your intelligence score can mitigate spell damage if you're meditating or channeling, but true damage will just ignore either one of those. So it's possible to chip away at an enemy as long as he has some spell points. His defense tree I maxed out. That's just extra armor class. I gave him percentages to block shields. I never actually got to maxing out shield bash, which if you critically block damage to the shield, you also do a melee attack that stuns the attacker. Probably could have respec to get that, but I did not. This gives you deflect, which is a battle stance. That's just extra armor class. I never really have been impressed with shield wall. I messed around with it with my other fighter for a little bit. Didn't really like it. Guardian, in my opinion, is vitally important to this build because, like I said, this allows him to take damage that's directed at other characters as a part of it, and because he has that Vow sword, he directs it back. One thing I might have done differently, Forged by War is pretty important when focusing gain +2 armor. So pretty much the entire time I have him on the field, I have him running Chant as a cleric, which activates that +2 armor, so it's like free armor. So if I had finished maxing out the commander tree, I could have got him extra constitution and an extra opportunity point. In a party with only 3 characters, that extra opportunity points are not really vital, so I didn't really bother respecking him. You may want to if you so choose. Again, I didn't put any points in crafting for him. And his cleric tree maxed out that right-hand path similar to my bard. Really only gave him access to Flesh Restore, because that's a really good healing ability, and the ability to use Chant. So like I said, I did two distinctly different builds for this attempt. One is all about crowd control and using the Mangar's Mallet to take out a lot of enemies at one time. So right now he only has two points. If I meditate, he'll get 4 more. Get them started up with their chant, and then I start working my way through these guys. A lot of this is just soaking damage from the enemies until Crux is ready to fire on all cylinders with his spells. So, my turn's pretty much over. I have one opportunity point left, really nothing else I can do with it. So, you can see that that character from the first hero has the flaming heart over their head. That's the effect of the troubadour skill. So what I want to do is take the dude with the poison in the back row out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teleport him up there. I'll have Crux switch spots with Paladin, hit this dude with Spectral Touch. And then move him back up again.
Now what?
So, Spectral Touch is the exact opposite of the rest of the spells. That one's based on the character's strength instead of intelligence. So right now I'm doing about 80, 90 points of damage with it, depending on how many spell points I have built up. But the I'm gonna have to hit this guy.
Orders? May I pass? At your command.
Shoot, I'll check what I was saying. Oh yeah, the right now the Spectre Touch is doing about we're about 100 points of damage, depending on how many spell points I have built up. I could do significantly more than that with it if I would still focus on strength. So that guy just killed himself by attacking me and got the backlash from the vow.
What do you want me to do?
Ah, 1 spell point short.
At your command.
So right now, I really have not taken that much damage from these guys because they're pretty low level. I'm just going to skip this turn. So I can show you what the Mangar's Mallet looks like. And this is what most of these battles look like, is hiding behind, the Paladin while I wait for Mangar's Mallet to build up. It does a big AoE effect that'll hit pretty much everybody. And then the Arcane Barrage is rapid fire, which means it doesn't really have a cooldown. As long as I have a spell point, I can just keep casting it. So that was Crux basically just killing everyone himself. That is the way all the battles from the Adventurer Guild to the the final boss go. So I'm not going to show all this because there's a lot of other guides you can look to that that will show you the various battles and puzzles.
Pretty grand for a prison.
So it is possible with this build to kind of get screwed by the RNG.
Even with the Swordfather guiding us, we cannot win here.
Oh, no, speaking of which, your own characters are going to tell you constantly that they're going to die facing these guys because they're way outclassed power wise. You can still take them. The one thing to watch out for is the fact that sometimes the enemies that can summon more archers can just screw you with the RNG aspect, where they'll hide in the back row where it's difficult to get them and consistently do damage to them, and they will eventually just overwhelm me with archers. I've had it happen, I think maybe twice. So it becomes really important to manage your save points for restocking, and also make sure that you have plenty of food on hand. Like I was saying earlier, stock up on food on booze before you start this. So when you leave the Adventure Guild to start the last trek, you'll go to Scarabray. Trying to remember how this went. There's a save point immediately after you get out of the Scarabray below. Leave that until you fight the first two enemies. Come back, hit the save point. You'll do one battle that's a little more challenging, right outside the cathedral. You get a chance to save it again. Then you go in, you fight Bishop Henrid, have a chance to talk and trade with people. Then you go down into the sewers. Right before you go to the sewers, there's another spot to save it. Save it there. There's only one save spot in the sewers, and there's 2 levels to the sewers. Clear out the first level, save it again. Don't miss the dwarven weapon that's in there. Clear out the second level. There's a tough batch of enemies. If you have this particular team composition, you're not gonna have to worry about at all, because they're behind a door you need to pick locks to get into. I don't have a rogue in my party, and I wouldn't recommend bringing a rogue in. I'm not saying it'd be impossible to do this with a rogue, but this team synergy is really about the bard giving buffs, the paladin basically just doing damage mitigation so everyone can survive, and then the practitioner just doing all the damage. So I don't really see a spot for a rogue in there. Anyway, so clear out that second floor of the sewer, which will take you down to this point right here. You can save it again. As soon as you save it that time, go to this battle I just showed you, and this will let you warp to the Hearnhold. Now this is really important for 2 reasons. One, if you're stuck, clearing out some of the lower levels of the Barrow, there's a save spot you can hit over here that will allow you to save it, which resets the ability to use that save spot at the entrance of the Barrow. And over here, more importantly, in case you screwed yourself with your team setup, like I did, and I'll show it in a little bit, you can give a mercenary token to the altar and reset their skill tree and redo it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load my endgame loadout now. Switch. I guess this one. I'm not super excited about the way the save game system in this game works. Okay, so here is the battle against the the final boss. Now here, I changed up things significantly. Like I said, my entire plan going in when I first made this party was to rely on the loot of compulsory cavorting, make the enemy dance the entire time, and just kick her ass. Well, that didn't work because she's immune to it. So I had to go back to the drawing board, completely redid Melody's skill tree. I don't even have her doing damage at this point. I have her doing chant, rhyme of duo time, reduce all abilities in your cooldowns in your party by 1. Sanctuary score, so she can help help heal people. And then spell song, so she can generate more spells for the group if she needs to. Her trinkets and gear are mostly the same. I swapped out the sword she had with the mastercrafted shepherd's pipes, which, if I'm drunk enough, I'll get an extra spell point and increase intelligence of allies by 50%. Did not change up much for my paladin. I gave him the elixir of focus trinket, which I can use that to give a target ally a bonus spell point and intelligence for a couple turns. Really, I did change him up. I went to his mastercrafted sorcerer's hood because I had more strength. I opted to start pursuing strength over intelligence to get my Spectre touch maxed out. Well, not maxed out, but more powerful. The Black Thirst is one of the All War weapons. Much higher strength. This has two really good abilities on it. Spell Thief, I can attack and get 2 spell points removed from an enemy, and I restore 1 to myself, which is just great. And then Veteran, Inner Strength gives him power, so I deal true for every spell point I possess. Which, oops, is very useful. Then offhand, I gave him the Destiny Wand. Not really so much because I wanted to use Peace and Prosperity, which is the special skill that comes with it, but because I wanted the extra strength. His Mastery Book, I switched to Spectral Touch. So now it's doing over 200 points of damage to a single target. And because the final boss in the game is basically just one target, that was the better way to go, rather than trying to sit through gathering spell points to use Mangar's Mallet. Arcane Barrage, because my intelligence dropped from 70 to 49, the power of this dropped a little bit. So it goes from 14 points of damage a cast to 11, and then of course meditate so I can get my spell points back up as quickly as possible. I did not touch his skill tree or Brian's. I did drastically redo Melody's. Her cleric skills, I did keep. What the heck? Somehow my mouse is screwing with the. There we go. What in the world is going on with my mouse? This is another example of this game not wanting to play well with the multi-monitor. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's stopping. I can't scroll past this part of the screen. Stand by. Well, that is not cool at all. Alright, I apologize for that. If anyone is talking to me in the chat, I'm gonna miss it. I had to disable my second monitor. Yeah, I gave her the Shepherd's Pipes, which boosts my spell song ability, her skills. Yeah, so Cleric, I did keep this side maxed out just because I get more spell points from that. I cut back on this side almost entirely. I went up to Shield of Fates for the bonus Constitution, I kept the brewing path pretty much the same as it was before. Defense same as before. Attack, I put very little into this. I did keep Juggler open in case this particular build didn't work out and I had to switch, but this worked pretty well for me. Maxed out spell points, maxed out intelligence to try to boost my spell power. I maxed out Minstrel to get the bonus spell points for my teammates. Maxed out Troubadour for that love effect, and I maxed out Rabble Rouser for the extra opportunity, and most importantly, to get access to the Rime of Duo Time. So basically, the way this battle is going to work is I'm going to cycle through as quickly as possible and just keep on hitting the last enemy with the Spectre Touch. She has well over 1,000 hit points, but with doing over 200 per hit. I finished this in 2 turns last time.
Be ready. Come, friend.
There is
Death is waiting.
there is some room in this battle to get screwed by the RNG. Just because depending on whether or not I get if Crux gets stunned for a turn in the last wave, my damage output just drops like a rock. And if Melody gets stunned, I'm not going to be able to cast Duo Time to get the 2 attacks. So, first up, I'm going to have him meditate some spell points up. Melody got stunned, so screw there. Get his chant going. And basically, I'm just going to start chipping away at these guys. Really, you want to prioritize your ranged guys because they can attack right to the back row. So it's a toss-up whether or not I want to go for the mage or for the dude with the bow and arrow. Either way, I'm not going to take either of them out in one turn.
What do you want me to do?
Melody took a lot of damage right from the very start, so she has the potential to get killed in the next round, which would screw me. Excuse me.
That's an improved ride of farm hair. Out of my way. Flame inferne. Inimicus meos comburet. Make them bleed. I am protected. Wow. Orders? Yes?
So I'm going to cast his Flesher Scar on her. I'm purposely not going to move her around very much, because at this point, every time she moves, she's going to be attacked with bleed damage. I don't want that.
Ready. Now what?
I did switch the boots that Crux had on as well. Every time he moves, he gets a spell point in return. So I'm going to move him up over here, and I'm going to toast this guy. Now at this point, I could accelerate the
At your command.
round and take out someone else.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, I will just to show how that would work. So let me levitate one of these jackasses over here. Should be able to take him out in one turn. Oh, I grabbed the wrong guy.
Tell me who to kill.
So anyway, I'll give her the rhyme with Duo Time.
Don't just stand there. Fight.
Almost forgot to get her drunk.
Down the hatch.
There we go.
Okay. Cease that caterwauling.
So now I can use Spectre Touch 2 turns in a row. Or two times in the same turn. So now I'm kind of going to play at these guys a little bit. Not going to try to kill them right off the bat, just because I want to get my I want to get my spell points up on Crux before we jump into the next wave.
What?
So
Orders?
What do you want me to do?
Come on.
Tell me who to kill.
I guess we're good for now. Hold off and see what happens next round.
Missable need ferte. Non nekans te firmat. At your command.
Okay, he lost his
Now what?
Ready.
he lost his chant because he got attacked enough.
Forgive me.
But as you can see, the fact that I get 3 points back for each point of damage I deal with him, keeping him pretty close to being topped off health-wise.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Ready.
She can cast Sanctuary Stone on herself.
Stop that terrible noise.
Get a little buff to her health.
Mios comburet. Potestas maxime correvit. Take your shot.
What do you want me to do?
Orders?
Okay.
Forgive me. Please excuse me.
Now what?
Oops. There we go.
Tiros in ferte.
So here we go. Now we're facing the final boss. So
On your word.
she comes in the middle of the round, basically.
Ready to go.
I.
Hey?
So again, I can select her with Levitate, move her right in front of Crux.
What happens?
Oop. Hit her with the Spectre Touch.
Let's do something.
Cast that duo time again.
Ready, I suppose. More! Give me more!
Cast Spectre Touch again. Then move back and meditate. You notice just the act of my moving boosted my magic points up significantly. I was at 1, now I'm at 9.
Here.
So she can cast Sanctuary Stone to buff him a little bit.
Orders?
And I may as well smack her with Sundering Smash to chip away some of her armor, and to give myself a little bit of health back. So there we go. She hasn't even had a turn yet, and she's already over halfway dead.
Death will be swift.
Now, the primeval that she summons... Uh-oh. Okay, that is the exact opposite I wanted to have happen. So now my primary damage dealer is stunned, which means I gotta survive at least one more turn to try this again.
What?
Tell me who to kill.
And this is going to be
Ready, I suppose.
tough, and I say that just because of the fact where the primeval is right now, I can't hit it, and it's going to do significant damage to the entire group. And I can't cast Duo Time again. That has a 1-turn cooldown. All right. Let's cross our fingers and hope I survive this round so I can finish her off. If she hits Melody this turn, I'm also kind of screwed. Oh.
I am returned to Rockefeller invests me.
Oh my god, she killed Crux. Yeah, so that was a great example of how RNG can completely screw you in this battle. Yeah, when I did this yesterday, I actually got a killer in 2 rounds, because it just happened ideally.
From vein to vein, from heart to heart.
So I'll give this one more shot.
Princess Kasrava of Samras, be ready. Come, friends. Death is waiting.
Unfortunately, there's no way to avoid getting attacked first here.
I'm here now.
Done.
Man, they did the same thing last round.
I am protected by Yadis.
If they kill her the first round, I'm just going to give up. It did not turn out the way I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to get more than that.
Orders?
Interesting.
Please excuse me. What do you want me to do?
Come on,
What?
on your word.
Will RNG screw me again? Now, if I had thought about it, I could have given my paladin the taunt skill. Holy crap! Yeah, no coming back from that. This is on my day. Yeah, but really honest and truly, I did this yesterday. First try with this build.
Someone come.
Damn. This is just embarrassing.
I'm here now.
Stop beating the shit out of my bard. That's not much better, to be honest. Oh, stun both of them. Jeez. Oh, that sucks.
Are you even trying? On your word.
Eh?
Tell me who to kill.
Yes?
Yeah, this is a very sucky start.
Gelomet graces fiatis. At grandum. Bring the side bones. Now I'm by the thumb here.
That's right. Waste time trying to hit them. Oh, for crying out loud. Stop that.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Let's do something.
Orders? Stop singing! It's awful! Tilosit verte! Non necans te firmat! Out of my way!
If only I made an entire party of dwarves that could handle the
I do not fear you.
that could handle not being stunned.
Ready, I suppose?
Alright, she's close enough to being full.
Ready.
Now what?
You gotta excuse me. You gotta be careful when selecting your opponent to move at levitate, because you can accidentally grab the people on your side as well. So right now,
Come on.
Yes?
my priority is killing those two spellcasters, because they are the ones that can stun me.
Ready to go.
Come on.
Now what?
Oh, I can't levitate twice in a turn. The cooldown's too great. Crap. Oh well.
Let's do something.
At your command.
Eh?
Let's get you meditating.
Atrandum proximo nit ferte. Nerve right. Stand aside. Alive. Lame infernal. For the fuck. Go on then.
Tell me who to kill.
Ready, I suppose?
I can kill one of these morons. I think that's the one that keeps mind stunning.
On your work.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to meditate, son.
Come on.
Yes?
Everyone's doing decent health-wise. Cheeky's above.
Stop that terrible noise!
Yeah, there we go.
You can do nothing. Ready.
What do you want me to do?
Ready to go.
Orders.
So this is taking a little bit longer than I originally anticipated.
Please excuse me. Eating my brain.
So I do not want to kill this dude this turn. If I hit him again with that, I'm going to. And so I'm just going to wait it out for one more turn, just because I want to have full opportunity and all of Crux's stuff cool down.
I am sick of this. The fam here will not let me die.
Okay, so he's gonna heal himself.
Ready, I suppose.
Head, get out of my... Why did you try?
Alright. This is where things are gonna get real. Move her down there. Hit her twice.
Ready.
Ready to go.
Now what?
By the father.
Okay, so I stole most of her spell points. Now I'm going to hit her. With Arcane Barrage as much as I possibly can. Continuously stealing magic points away from her. Okay, I cannot believe I just killed her with nothing but Arcane Barrage. Okay, so that's even better than what I was trying to do with the, Spectre's Touch.
But they will never die, so we must seal the rift, regroup and return.
So at this point,
Stand by and let us work. We will return.
At this point, you have the ending cinematic, which you can't skip past.
Our claws will never cease to thread the wall between.
Yeah, I did not realize how freaking powerful the Arcane Barrage was going to be when it's stacked with true damage, and the that power that steals spell points. That was much more impressive than I was expecting.
Dwarf, elf, human, and trow.
Yeah, so apparently it's possible to take her out in just one round. Hit her twice with the
But I'm afraid your work here is not.
Spectre Touch, and then just beat the shit out of her with Arcane Barrage.
They vowed they would never cease trying to claw their way back into our world.
And if they keep tearing at it, we have to keep building it up. That's what the Maiden was for. Her singing knit up the fabric of the world from our side as fast as they tore it from theirs.
So I am going to
But now she
get through this, and then go back to my streams.
to take up her song,
Like I said earlier, I had to disable my second monitor.
the ultimate sacrifice.
It's a terrible duty. It never ends. Anyone who chooses it will have to stand here in this chamber and sing for all eternity.
A singer is needed. Will one of you volunteer?
We must not wait to choose. As you can see, the heralds are already at work.
You can't ask us to decide amongst ourselves, friends.
So yeah, so the
If I said I wanted to go, I'd be lying. And if I picked another, I'd be a villain.
the game at this point forces you to choose one of these guys to be entombed forever, singing the song to keep the rift closed.
We'll accept your choice, won't we?
Aye. If it must be done, you're the ones I'd want to do it.
So, who will it be? Whose voice do you want to hear on a cold night when there's trouble on the wind?
So Rabbi actually foreshadows the fact that he's the one you're going to choose at the very start of the game, but you can pick Fiona instead because she has a better singing voice.
By the gods! This is the dream! The dream where you saved the day, but I was lost. Do you remember? I said you would choose to leave me behind, but you changed it. You chose another. I don't know whether to thank you or curse you. I mean, this is... damn all prophecy. It only brings pain.
I'll admit, I was praying you wouldn't choose me, but I won't refuse. Everyone has to do their part to make the world a better place. It's my turn to do mine. I am honoured to have known you, friends.
So,
You can't ask us to decide amongst ourselves,
The poor
friends.
child.
Indeed.
for whatever reason, I don't understand there was a problem with overlapping audio in this part.
Friends, this must not happen again.
At least this time he didn't
No
repeat
one
the
must
entire
ever
speech.
climb
Last time
into
he
this
went through
chamber.
the entire thing
No
again.
one must even know of its existence. We of the elder races were fools to allow ourselves to remember its location and the details of its defenses. Without those things, Yadis and her followers would never have come as close to
Fortunately, I can't skip this.
as they did. So, we will not make the same mistake twice. This time, the spell of forgetting will touch all the races. And when we leave this place, none of us will remember it or anything to do with it. Your adventures, the enemies you fought, all will be gone. I know it is painful.
Which is sad, because man, this is an epic story.
But fear not.
I don't remember how awesome I was.
Pain will be gone too. Now, I will begin.
So yeah, so
All your fences, my sons and my daughters, and keep tight the rope, my neighbors and friends, for the world and its folk will always be free, and always in need of a hard-working hand. The hole in the wall will let in the north wind. The gap in the thatch will let in the rain. When the weave comes unraveled,
if I hadn't already gotten the achievement yesterday night, you'd see it pop right when the credits start rolling here in a second.
and mend it again. So sing me a song, my sons and my daughters. Sing me a song.
Oh, apparently I gotta skip it.
We walk the
I'm gonna fix my screen.
A summer's day in
Which is sad, because the music in this game is incredible.
became a wintry night. Foes from below, blood on the snow, bright crimson on white. A madman's story of
What is it doing?
brought death from far away. For eldritch power did Mangar scour the depths of snow in summer.
Alright, so that
My hair
pretty much wraps it up.
death's cold
Once this is done archiving on Twitch, I'm going to I'm gonna stick it up on YouTube, possibly edit it, at least timestamp it. And I think that's pretty much it. For everyone who actually watched, appreciate you sticking around. If you got any questions, let me know in the next minute or two before I log off. And with that, I'm gonna start shutting this down.
Gave life to see them gone. To Mangar's lair we took the snare, its hooks did end his reign. Now there it lies, if e'er he rise, to bring him low again. Snow in summer, ice in my heart, death's cold fingers tear us apart. Snow in summer, ice in my heart, death's cold fingers tear us apart. A summer's day in Scarabray,
Alright, thanks again everyone. Thanks for watching.